Mount Rainier is one of the world's most popular and desired climbs. Each year, more than 12,000 people get attracted to this heavenly beautiful mountain. 6 of the Texas climbers to explore and summit Mount Rainier started their journey towards it. The journey happened to be full of enthusiasm, motivation, success, and tragedies too. So this story is going to take you through all the emotions possible on how it feels to climb the highest mountains in the world and how it can change climbers' lives in minutes. The 6 alpinists happen to belong to one of the most famous companies of Texas, Alpine Ascents. Well, for your good knowledge, the company that these alpinists belong to was the same company that already lost 5 Sherpa on Mount Everest in the spring of the same year. The team was led by Matt Hageman, who happened to be from California. When searched in detail, it was shown that Matt had already climbed Mount Rainier 50 times, and that also by using 4 different routes. He seemed to be quite experienced at what he did. He was the one leading the other members who were with him on this adventure to explore Mount Rainier. The team included 2 guides and 4 clients from Seattle-based Alpine Ascents International. They started their venture in the early morning of Monday along the White River Trail. The climbers embarked on their journey, the magnificent peak looming ahead. The weather was clear and they made steady progress, enjoying breathtaking views along the way. The 5 teammates were all together, and it went well. As per their plan, they reached Thumb Rock on Tuesday. It had an elevation of 10,700 feet. The climbers reached their first designated shelter, exhausted but determined. They rested, ate, and prepared for the next leg of their journey. Till now, it all seemed good and the weather was perfectly fine, but it didn't remain for long. As on Wednesday, the weather started deteriorating. Cold winds started blowing, and there seemed to be black and horrible clouds coming towards them. At first, everybody stumbled seeing the difficulties this weather might bring, but later on, they were encouraged by the other team members who were bent on completing this mission. They believed that if they remained together and did not stop anywhere to rest, they could easily make it to the Liberty Ridge route. And just so you know, the Liberty route is one of the most dangerous routes to go for, so they kept going, ignoring the dangerous signals the weather was giving them. As they continued climbing, the weather suddenly took a turn for the worse. Dark clouds gathered, and visibility diminished. The climbers pushed forward, battling through blinding snow and strong winds. Wednesday and Thursday were full of ups and downs, and bad weather was looming on their heads. Till Wednesday, the climbers were in contact with the company they worked for, and the company was guiding them through the journey. But it suddenly came to a halt when on Thursday, the team lost their connection with the company. They were not in contact with anyone back there, but it didn't feel unusual then, as it was informed that if the weather deteriorates, the climbers might lose their connection with their company. So somewhere, the company and the climbers both were in the mindset to contact each other once the weather came in better position. But sadly, it never happened. The climbers still didn't lose hope and decided to move ahead, as it was their dream to reach the peak of Mount Rainier, and they couldn't leave it halfway. They started moving towards the Liberty Summit, which is 14,112 feet high. The park spokesman Patti Wold was of the belief that this decision to move and not step back when the weather was this bad was purely a mistake the climbers made. The Liberty Ridge route is considered one of the most dangerous and fickle ways. This route includes a steep ascent, final, and 2 horrible glacier crossings. In summer, there are chances of rock and ice falling on the climbers. The last time when the company heard from the climbers was on Wednesday around 6 p.m. when they were 12,800 feet high, and they were planning to camp overnight there and move the next day to their final destination. 2 days after not being in contact with any team members, the company started getting worried, as the ridge was 14,112 feet high, and they were thinking the worst possible thing could have happened to them. On the other hand, the climbers found themselves in a treacherous ridge, exposed to the full force of the storm. The winds howl, threatening to blow them off the mountain. They reached another shelter, seeking refuge from the relentless storm. Inside, exhaustion and fear started to take their toll. It was getting bad for them on each step. The storm continued to rage, the conditions worsening by the hour. The climbers struggled through deep snow, their bodies growing weaker every minute. With the storm still raging, they gathered all their strength to send a distress signal. praying for a rescue. Days passed, and their rations dwindled. Despair settled in as they huddled together for warmth. Back there, the company was constantly trying to establish contact with the climbers, but sadly, to no avail. Friday passed by like this, and on Saturday morning, the company, without any further delay, contacted the park rangers. They requested them to start their search as soon as possible. The rangers started looking for the climbers instantly. Helicopters, including 2 rangers and 3 climbing rangers, were all on their duty to find something or someone before it got dark out there. While the searchers were looking for the lost climbers, the weather was getting better. Daylight was very much clear, and the searchers bent on looking for the climbers for the whole day. The rangers were all ears while researching, as they believed that they might hear any of them if they were still alive. They conducted research on a length by looking into crevices and being lowered by rope from a helicopter. The rangers went low enough that they located the tents, clothes all mixed up with rock rice. They found these belongings in the debris field beside the Carbon Glacier, which was at a level of around 9,000 feet. But there was no sign of the climbers there. Not even a single moment of human flesh could have helped the rangers to at least have hoped that they would find someone. The images that were taken of the place explained the seriousness of the situation, as it was considered the worst storm in the past 3 decades. The last time such an incident took place on Mount Rainier was on June 2nd, 1981, when 11 climbers were found dead by a horrible avalanche on Ingram Glacier. This glacier is on the southeast side of the mountain. Avalanches are a very common thing in June and July there. The rangers also searched for an area known as a bergschrund, a crevice between glaciers. They believed that there were high chances for the climbers to fall there because of the deadly way they were crossing. But there were no signs of any of the climbers. The reason why the climbers died or disappeared is unknown to this date. Several reasons could have led the climbers to lose their way in life to the world. Park rangers speculate that they might have been climbing on a snowy slope that was slipping or was carried away by ice and rock debris. Additionally, avalanches happen throughout the mountain, so there are several possibilities on what could have caused this tragic incident. But whatever the reason is, the ultimate thing that saddened all was that the climbers were never seen or heard from again. And this was a loss for the whole climbing society. The spokesman of the park said that they would make all efforts to search for the climbers, as they were assets. But if the climbers were stuck or died in some deep trench, or if they were lost in any place which is dangerous to explore, then they surely cannot put the other climbers' life at risk. Park officials withheld the identities to give their families time to respond. Todd Burleson, the founder of Alpine Ascents, had already returned from a trip to Alaska and was on his way to the mountain on Saturday afternoon to meet families. When he was asked about his views on the tragic incident, he said that this is clearly a tragedy. We are heartbroken for their families and the loss of our men. This is something that everyone laments. The worst thing about this incident is that we cannot bring those passionate climbers back, but what can be done is we can guide the other climbers to make wise decisions when needed. Between 1897 and the middle of 2011, 89 people died attempting to summit Mount Rainier, while another 25 perished training for or undertaking other climbs between 1912 and the middle of 2011, and hundreds of other deaths have been reported for several other reasons. So deaths on the Mount Rainier are nothing new. Alpinists from different parts of the world come and explore this beautiful place and intend to climb it too, but not all of them achieve this dream. Even though the 6 climbers, including Matt, the team leader, couldn't survive this deadliest journey of Mount Rainier, they will always remain in our memories, inspiring us every day. When the park rangers were in search of the 6 climbers, they kept on advising the other climbers to stay careful and vigilant at the same time. Even though climbing is what keeps them alive, at some points it could lead to their death too, if the right decisions are not made. When climbing or summiting any mountain, keep in mind that you may face a lot of hazards that you would not even expect. Things can get bad anytime there. And most importantly, be courageous enough to stop halfway and turn around when you know that it is going to risk your life, because if you stay alive, you definitely can try some other day. These were the kind of instructions climbers were getting at that from the company and the park rangers. This is a very disturbing incident took place, where the Climbers Society lost 5 of the climbers and 2 guides. Undoubtedly, it was a difficult time for the climbers' families and the world. They might not be with us today, but they are there in spirits. They are there in the Mount Rainier, where they said their final goodbyes to the world below them.